Ben Franklin's World is a production of the Omohundro Institute, and this series is made possible with support from Mass Humanities. Hello and happy holidays! Welcome to a special bonus episode of Ben Franklin's World, the podcast dedicated to helping you learn more about how the people and events of our early American past have shaped the present-day world we live in. And I'm your host, Liz Covart. Over the last 2 episodes, you've heard our series about the world of the Wampanoag. In the course of producing this series, we were able to speak with representatives from 2 museums: Jade Luiz, Curator of Collections at the Plimoth Patuxet Museums, and Lorén Spears, Executive Director of the Tomaquag Museum in Rhode Island. Both Jade and Lorén took the time to tell me about their museums and what it would be like if we were to visit them. So, our bonus investigation today will be to explore what awaits us at the Plimoth Patuxet and Tomaquag Museums. But first, special series like the World of the Wampanoag series take a lot of time and resources to produce. In fact, each episode of the World of the Wampanoag series took more than 1 hour of labor to produce each minute you heard in the episodes. We'd like to produce more narrative series like the World of the Wampanoag series, but we really need your help to do it. Please become a subscriber to the Ben Franklin's World subscription program. Subscribers receive a bonus episode on the last Friday of each month, and ad-free versions of each new episode as a thank you for their support. To become a subscriber, visit benfranklinsworld.com/subscribe. That's benfranklinsworld.com/subscribe. And hopefully, I'll see you on the last Friday of next month for our subscribers-only bonus episode. Okay, how about our audio tour of the Plimoth Patuxet and Tomaquag Museums?
I'm Dr. Jade Luiz. I'm Curator of Collections here at Plimoth Patuxet Museums. The Plimoth Patuxet Museums is a living history museum, and so when you visit, we have our visitor center with some static exhibitions, including our newest exhibit, History in a New Light, Illuminating the Archaeology of Historic Patuxet and Plymouth. And that really talks about the archaeology here at Plimoth and Patuxet. So the new exhibit really was the way that we wanted to think about commemoration as not just this year, 2020 reflection of 1620, but look at it in terms of the lens of how it is a turning point in different ways. And so it focuses through the lens of archaeology, and much of the exhibit talks about the archaeology of Wampanoag people and then moves into things like trade. What's the archaeological evidence for trade? How do things shift as you have an outgrowth of hydropower? And then it heavily features the field school and the UMass Boston excavation that's occurred over the last several years and the sorts of items that they've recovered and what that tells us about this area. And then there are 2 main sites at the main campus, which is the Wampanoag home site, where we have Indigenous people who are dressed in ways that you might have seen Indigenous people in the 17th century, but they speak from, their own experiences. So they speak to you as a modern person and talk about their lives as Indigenous people today. And then can also talk about the oral history as well. And then when you go down to the 17th century English village, there you have people depicting who would have been here in 1627 specifically from the perspective of that person. So if you ask them about, cell phones or airplanes, they won't know what you're talking about, but they can speak about what had come before 1627 for them and their relationship with this new place that they're unfamiliar with. And then we also have the reproduction Mayflower 2, docked downtown Plymouth. You can board Mayflower 2. So there's an exhibit on board Mayflower 2 that talks about both the original Mayflower that doesn't exist anymore, and then also the restoration work that's occurred in the last couple of years. And our Plymouth gristmill, which is a reproduction of the first gristmill here in 1634. And they do milling and demonstrate what the hydropower that was so important to this area for so long meant to the community. In addition to our in-person exhibit, History in a New Light, we have a digital version of the exhibit on our website. So if you go to plymouth.org/collections. It should be at the top there. We've also done a video tour of the exhibition, so you can see moving through what it would look like with a narration over the top that is me.
I'm Lorén Spears. I'm the executive director of Tomaquag Museum. Tomaquag Museum was originally founded by Eva Butler, an anthropologist, with Princess Redwing, who was Narragansett Wampanoag. And we have been in existence since 1958 and have always told our history from a first-person perspective with Indigenous educators, curators, and historians. And we have many resources in this social media world. All the social media, you can check it all out on our website at tomaquagmuseum.org. Everything from Children's Hour to lectures and talks, and we do virtual programs as well as in-person tours for small groups during COVID-19. And when things get back to normal, we'll go back to our normal programming. But you can find out most of the information about that on our website, where you can learn more about our exhibits, including mini exhibits on our YouTube page. But, we're all thinking about and remembering and acknowledging the trauma that has taken place here over 400 years. This is a remembrance. We are partnering in with the conference that's going on that's remembering this history. It's not really a celebration for us. It's a remembrance and an acknowledgement, and maybe even an honoring of all that pain and loss and the suffering that our ancestors went through that allowed us to still be here, that they continued that down to the next generations that come. And then it's our job to pass that along. And so through this museum, we educate the public, but we also empower our Indigenous community to share their knowledge so that educators and culture bearers and tribal historians can tell the stories and pass on cultural knowledge through the traditional ecological cultural knowledge and through the arts, our history, our culture, our traditions.
If you enjoyed this tour of the Plimoth Patuxet and Tomaquag Museums, be sure to check out our larger World of the Wampanoag series, which you can find at benfranklinsworld.com/290. Our subscribers help make the World of the Wampanoag series possible. Please help us make more series and keep this podcast going by joining the Ben Franklin's World subscription program. To become a subscriber, visit benfranklinsworld.com/subscribe. That's benfranklinsworld.com/subscribe. Any views, findings, conclusions, or recommendations expressed in this episode do not necessarily represent those of the National Endowment for the Humanities. Ben Franklin's World is a production of the Omohundro Institute, and this series is made possible with support from Mass Humanities.